I suppose you could call it the realm of my consciousness. I'm someone who no longer exists in the real world after all, as you well know. It's nothing. I still have enough strength to play the part of a good host. I've always hoped that I'd get the chance to talk to you like this, and now, the time has finally arrived. Extreme sorrow and pain, hope and regret coursing through your veins, and a degree of abyssal power that defies comprehension. Father told me that once I possessed all those elements, I would become the loom of fate, but despite his intentions for me, I never truly became the loom of fate. I was merely used as a means for its construction. In truth, I died the moment I set everything in motion. The person you see before you now is nothing but a remnant of consciousness left over within the loom of fate. As for your question, the loom of fate is a device capable of weaving ley lines. In its primitive form, it can only be used to create and implant memories. But as more of it is completed, its power becomes stronger and stronger, until finally, it has the power to weave real ley lines of its own. Once fully completed, the moment it gains the power to weave ley lines, it loses the lower level ability to influence memories, but it also becomes a tool that can change. Yes, I have the ability to control the loom in its semi-completed form. I suppose you can think of it as a form of compensation. After all, its existence cost me my life. Ah, that. I was wrong to implant those memories. I'm sorry I caused so much trouble. Not only for everyone in the village, but for you as well. I just wanted them to feel like I once existed in this world. As if I had a chance at life. Why would I do something so meaningless? But I just couldn't accept it. I had to know what it would be like if I had my own life. Chief Ahmadiyya, Baram, Granny Jahiyat, Atosa. What would it be like if I could live alongside them? No cataclysm, no curse. Just a quiet life in a peaceful village. I was curious, so I selfishly tried to have my own life. Even if that meant piecing together the version of myself that could have been. I know it sounds stupid. After all, my life ended a long time ago. Any chance at living was stripped away from me when I was 8 years old. My consciousness left to mature in an illusory world of nothingness. Even the form you see before you was nothing but an invention based on my father's appearance. An imagined version of what I would look like if I had the chance to grow up. I know. But there's nothing I can do to make them find me. If I could exist in the real world, I would return without a second thought and surprise them with the suddenness of it all. But I know. Captain Dainsleif. Twilight Sword, you mean? No need to meet up with him. Things should already be settled on his end. Exactly. As someone who could only exist in people's memories, the fact that I'm able to talk to you in my consciousness like this can only mean one thing. The loom of fate has already been completed. No need to worry about Captain Dainsleif. He's absolute. Captain Dainsleif has had the eye inside his body. His plan was to. He would then hand the eye to you, and tell you to take it away from that location. That way, Captain Dainsleif could accomplish his own goal and ensure the safety of the Eye all at once. A very thorough plan. That's right, because in his mind, he had given it to you already. Before you two entered that false location.
Traveler, wait. We've no time to lose. Let's head inside.
That was when I implanted the memory of him handing you the Eye. Given the tense situation at that time, Captain Dainsleif failed to notice anything out of the ordinary, and took that memory to be real. I'm sorry, Traveler, but I needed the Loom of Fate to be completed. And to do that, we had to retrieve the Eye. I promise I'm not trying to conceal anything. Tevat's ley line system is deeply entrenched in the planet. Creating new ley lines can neither replace nor extend the ones that already exist. In the face of everything they could be planning, I fear I'm too insignificant to even get a glimpse of the bigger picture. In any case, I had my own use for the Loom of Fate, and my goal, at least, has been achieved. You remember my father, don't you? Clotar Alberic, after he used the power of the Abyss to restore consciousness to my hilichurl form. I suffered from an indescribable level of mental anguish. To comfort me, my father told me a story, that this was a fairy tale world where I had to take on the form of a little monster. That story managed to dispel my fears, even if just for a moment. My goal was simple: to use the Loom of Fate in its near-completed form, when its ability to create memories was at its strongest, to implant a specific memory into the minds of the hilichurls. In that memory, I would tell them a story, just like my father did for me. It was a story of fairy tales and love. But more than anything, it was the story of us. I can't change the world. Not when I lost the very right to exist within it. Implanting those memories, that was the most worthwhile thing I could offer. All that's left of my existence is a wisp of residual consciousness tied to the Loom of Fate. In truth, that trace of my consciousness should have dissipated long ago. My goal was the one thing that allowed me to hold on all this time. But now, the bedtime story is finished. And it's finally time to rest.
Looks like I was too late to see Kari Bear one last time. Kari Bear's consciousness is gone, and this space will soon disappear along with it. Neither of us belongs here. That's why we're not tangible. Were that not the case, I'd love to hug you too. Well, how about a conversation? The chance to just stop and talk like this is certainly not easy to come by. Wouldn't you agree? That battle earlier was tough. The one against Dane, I mean. I didn't expect that after everything, he would still hesitate to raise his sword against me. Were it not for that, perhaps I'd still be no match for the Twilight Sword. Even after 500 years. The Loom of Fate, huh? I still haven't found a way to utilize it to its full potential. But there's still time. Before the heavenly principles awaken. Yes, for 500 years now, ever since the cataclysm in Conria, there's been no sign of activity. Not long ago, you witnessed the Hydro Archon destroy her divine throne, yes? Such a flagrant disregard for the rules, and still Celestia took no action. I suppose that's proof enough of the heavenly principles situation. However, the heavenly principles will awaken. We just don't know when that will be, or what might trigger it. You could say that. Just look at Kari Bear. He was so pure and single-minded. The space we now find ourselves is a perfect representation of who he was. Quiet and peaceful. Even as a hilly churl, seeing the terrible sight within the mirror wasn't enough to taint his spirit. He brought comfort to the people of this world, even though he was denied the very right to be a part of it. So ask yourself this. Who was it that deprived him of that right to exist? Of course, that's only one example. My feelings about the heavenly principles are too complicated to explain in just a few words. Lumine?
You're the only one in this world who calls me that. There's so much I wanted to ask you. But for some reason, I'm not interested in asking those questions right now. There's just one thing I have to ask. One thing I could never understand. Why? Why can't we continue our journey together?
At the end of my journey, I arrived at a place known as the Sea of Flowers at the end. Do you remember? A long time ago, when we traveled between worlds together. You told me. You wanted to find a place in the universe where that one flower was in full bloom. To have a place like that suddenly appear before me? Well, would you think of that as a coincidence?
You mean?
I miss you too, Lumine. But as this war continues to rage, and as I continue to seek that final answer, I don't even know how to face myself sometimes. Let alone my own sister.
What's going on?
This space has lost its tether. I doubt it'll be able to exist much longer. In fact, aside from our ability to physically interact with each other, there's something else you should know about this space. With Kari Bear gone, we won't be able to remember anything that happened here. Everything in this space will be wiped from existence, including all memory of our reunion.
You're only telling me this now?